All right, thank you everyone for coming. Welcome to our council work session and a regular council meeting agenda. I'd like to open it up with, let's see, what is my item one is missing from here, guys?
You need the agenda.
Yeah. This is partial. Sorry. Make sure I follow it exactly here. All right, so yeah, let's call it order. It is September the 17th. Here in Batesburg-Leesville. So I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Balknight, do you have a second?
Second.
Ms. Brown, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Just 3 votes yes.
4,
Yes.
6, 7,
Yes.
8.
Yes.
And Mayor votes yes, motion carries. All right. So our new business for this evening, we have 2 items up tonight. We have item A is presentation and discussion on capital equipment replacement, Richard Bailey Enterprise Fleet, and also item B, discussion of moratorium on subdivisions. So we will start with item A. Jay, why don't you introduce, please?
So Richard Bailey is here. He's out of Greenville. He's with Enterprise Fleet. We all know Enterprise more as a rental car company, but they do so much more. And so I'm going to turn it over to Richard and let him kind of give you that history. And hopefully the mic is on, right, Michael?
Can you hear me?
Nope.
No? Yeah, good. I'll just talk loud. I'm a good loud talker.
It's on?
Jay, thanks for the introduction. Council, thank you for having me this evening. Yeah, as Jay mentioned, most folks know us as the car rental company, Enterprise Rental Car. But we are a lot more. We're Enterprise Mobility, and a big portion of that is Enterprise Fleet Management. It's actually where Enterprise started, in the basement of a Cadillac dealership, leasing vehicles to people in 1957. And the core of what we do is essentially using data to determine and help advise our clients on buy, run, and sell of a fleet of vehicles to ultimately help you bring down your total cost of ownership to the lowest possible amount. So we've had some conversation, administration, department heads, over the past couple of months regarding the town's current fleet of vehicles, both from a financial impact and a strategic needs position. And goal for tonight's conversation, I understand, is from you all, this is meant to be a lot of open conversation, so please jump in with any questions or clarity that I can provide. But the goal for me tonight is to review the data and the strategic replacement plan that we've come up with over the past couple of months of conversation, again, with administration and department heads, and answer any questions you guys may have. So I'm going to make sure this works. Okay, perfect. So South Carolina, we work with just under 100 government entities, and nationwide 2,500 government entities, of which 1,500 of those are cities and counties. So we're used to working with a lot of government entities, and I understand one of your bordering counties, Saluda County, is a partner of ours and has been a partner for an extended period of time. So how we look at fleet management is, again, through the eyes of data. And every vehicle, regardless of its use case, has the ideal time to cycle that vehicle based on depreciation, which is basically the delta between acquisition and resale, maintenance costs, and fuel costs. And again, every vehicle is a little bit different, whether that's a public works vehicle, a water vehicle, a police vehicle, a pickup truck, a van, whatever. Everything's got the ideal time to cycle that vehicle. So we're going to go through a good amount of data that we've basically been able to collect from, again, administration and department heads on the town's current fleet of vehicles. Pardon, is there a pointer on this?
It's going to disappear into the screen.
Okay, I'm going to walk over and point at this real quick. And for those I'm behind, I apologize. So this is a breakdown of the town's current fleet of vehicles. So between light and medium duty vehicles, the town has approximately 52 vehicles in your fleet currently, with a fair market value, or what we anticipate being able to sell the town's vehicles for about $534,000. This right here, this grid, is a breakdown of the model years of vehicles in your fleet. Now, in full transparency, this is not the oldest, but probably the second or third oldest fleet that I've ever done any data analytics on. So I want to go through this real quick. So as you can see that there are 29 of the town's 52 vehicles that are over 10 years old. So we all know that's going to impact maintenance, it's going to impact fuel, it's going to impact safety and resale of vehicles significantly. Now to put that in context, if you guys are able to see this right here, 18.6, if you keep doing the same pattern that you've done over the last 5 years, from an acquisition standpoint, it's going to take you about 19 years to replace your fleet of vehicles. Just sticking with the same pattern that you're currently doing. And down here at the bottom, your average odometer, it's just under 90,000 miles. And here on the left, you'll see we've got a breakdown of the vehicle types. About 65% Ford, 20% Dodge, and 15% Ram, excuse me, Chevy. So why is this important? Well, we all know that newer vehicles obviously cost more money. So newer vehicles are substantially less expensive to run from a maintenance and a fuel standpoint. And newer vehicles sell for a substantially larger amount than, let's call it an 18-year-old vehicle. We all know 5-year-old vehicles sell for substantially more. So again, knowing that every vehicle's got its right amount of time or the right position to cycle a vehicle, we took what you're currently doing and created a cost savings projection over a 10-year standpoint. So again, I'm going to walk over here, so I apologize. First, I want to bring your attention right down here that over the next 10 years, we anticipate being able to save the town about $380,000 and by proactively cycling the town's fleet of vehicles. So save you $380,000 while running a newer, safer fleet of vehicles. So this is based on enterprise recommendation and what we would do if it was our fleet of vehicles. Again, based on the fact that we've done this for 70 years, it's pretty simple for us to say this is what we would do again because we have done this for a very long period of time. I want to just draw your attention to this yellow line. This is essentially the town's fleet budget that we were able to pull out based on what you're currently doing. As mentioned on the previous page, you'll see here, we've got about 3 acquisitions per year. Average cost based on your fleet is probably looking at about $165,000 a year in acquisition. Again, if you average that out over time, probably getting a little bit of resale on those vehicles, maybe $1,000 generously, maybe a little bit less. Maintenance is probably about $93,000, fuel about $96,000, and all-in fleet budget about $350,000. Again, through a proactive cycling approach, we anticipate being able to save the town about $380,000 over 10 years by proactively cycling the town's fleet of vehicles. I wanted to just go through that at a very quick level because there's a million numbers on there. We could spend all day going through it. If we have further questions later, I'd love to go through that. Does that make sense? Okay. So based on our conversation, again, with department heads and administration, we've identified 10 vehicles that there's some immediate need for replacements on. And these are vehicles we'd be targeting for 2026 replacement. So there are 6 police vehicles here targeted for replacement and 4 pickup trucks. Now the enterprise original recommendation was 20 vehicles in the first year. This is based off of looking at it from, okay, can we sustainably replace the town's fleet over a 4 or 5 year period of time? And this is the sustainable plan that we've ultimately come up with from an administration and department head standpoint. And looking at adding 1 vehicle to the town's fleet for the IT team. So our first year anticipated cost for leasing 11 vehicles is $106,000 in lease payments and adding some support programs to better gather data on the town's current fleet. All in first year cost, probably about $120,000. Now from a pricing, a partnership, and a due diligence standpoint, Enterprise Fleet Management is the awarded fleet management partner of Sourcewell through the RFP process. And basically, what does that mean to you all? So Sourcewell is a government purchasing collective that the town is a participating member, and all government entities that are participating members, regardless of size, have the same pricing program, as well as a large amount of due diligence has already been completed in advance by Sourcewell for their participating members. Those are the quick, high-level data points that we've reviewed thus far with administration and department heads. Council, I'd like to open up to you to questions that I can provide further clarity on.
So, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was going.
No, please.
No,
You-
good about that. Do you have a 5-year, year-by-year cost on an individual vehicle?
We don't have that yet because as we went through the first year of the strategic replacement plan, we know that going into year 2, there will likely be another cost increase. But by proactively cycling vehicles and maintaining the average inflation that we anticipate to see over the next few years, we've got that $380,000 in savings. Not necessarily what is the exact lease payment going to be going into year 2, 3, 4, and 5, as you add more vehicles.
A police interceptor would be delivered to us the same as a police interceptor that we get on the state contract. Then, of course, the town would be responsible for rigging it for the road.
So I don't know the current status in which you get a vehicle from state contract, but we can provide a turnkey product,
Yeah.
meaning that your officers are ready to go, and that vehicle can show up badged, lights, cages, whatever. It could also just show up without that equipment in it, and you facilitate that. It's truly up to the town how you all wish to handle that. We can do it if you'd like.
From what I've studied, it looks like the places that actually show savings, like Monroe, North Carolina, theirs are unmarked vehicles that are, where they don't have vehicles that have holes punched in them for this or that, which dramatically increases or decreases the value of the vehicle at the end of the lease. Of course, at the end of 5 years, is this the lease cycle that you're proposing?
Every vehicle's got a slightly different lease cycle. Some vehicles are 3, 4, 5, and longer, depending upon each individual vehicle. And to your previous point, yeah, typically what we see is that the non-emergency response vehicles, there are some significant savings through the advanced cycling, and we are at a 2 or 3% savings on the emergency response vehicles through cycling. But you are exactly right, that the majority of the savings is coming from the non-emergency response vehicles.
Okay, so therefore, the majority of our fleet are emergency response. So therefore, our savings would be comparatively less because we're going to deliver back to you a vehicle that is fully decaled, holes punched, et cetera, and so forth. I'm just trying to make sure that the savings here are realistic compared to our fleet in general. And some of the other cost involved is the fact that on a lease, you're going to specify that you sell us or deliver to us a police interceptor, and that lease arrangement is 14,000 miles a year.
So,
that vehicle.
So two items on there. We label everything as a lease. We've got a multitude of funding options on there where you can pay cash, you can finance, you can do what's called an equity lease. We do offer the traditional lease. Less than 1% of our customers do it. The majority of the folks we work with use one of those 3 options of equity lease, finance, or pay cash for the vehicle. And that essentially has no mileage, no wear and tear penalties on it. So you're not restricted to the number of miles. And based on what the town's currently driving from a police vehicle standpoint and the number of engine hours, we're anticipating it's probably equivalent to 25,000 mile a year worth of wear and tear on the vehicle, even though that's not got that number of miles on it. So that's to your second question. And to your first question, yeah, in the 10-year model analysis, I've taken into consideration the fact that they are emergency response vehicles and what that's ultimately going to do to resale on the back end. We have a large number of government entities that we partner with, and there's, again, you are exactly right. There's higher maintenance on emergency response vehicles and substantially lower resale on emergency response vehicles. There is still that ideal time to cycle a vehicle. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's still an ideal time to cycle a vehicle, and emergency response vehicles will sell for less than a non-emergency response counter.
But your lease terms would include a mileage limitation at which there would be a penalty mileage.
There is no mileage or wear and tear fee on 3 of our lease structures. We've talked about doing what's called the equity lease model with the town. It's basically doing a 90% finance on the vehicle, and there is no mileage or wear and tear penalties on those. Everything through us is labeled as a lease based on how we get our funding to fund vehicles, but it's not like the traditional dealership lease that does have a mileage or a wear and tear penalty. Thank you for the questions.
Well, I did want to point out, earlier on the slide where it showed the year breakdown, we had 10 vehicles in 2021. Thank you, Richard, for going back. I think one more slide was, or one more. Yeah, so we had the 10 vehicles, that was the last lease purchase. And with that purchase, we had 7 police Dodge Durangos, 4 pickup trucks as well. So that was the cycle, what we did with that 2021 lease purchase agreement. And just for comparative sake, the Dodge Durangos were $30,062. Now a car unmarked is $47,000. We're estimating $60,000 once you upfit that vehicle. So that cost is nearly doubled for a police vehicle. Pickup trucks don't seem to have that steep of an increase, but that's just kind of a sample. The lease purchase we did in 2021 was a $450,000 total amount, and that was $94,000 a year in payments over that 5 years. So I just want to kind of give you that back.
At what rate?
That was,
Like a $500,000 note?
yeah, so that was a 1.24% is what I'm showing on the coupon there. So, yeah, it was $450,000, and over the life of it, we spent $466,000, so only $16,000 in interest. You can get us 1 point something percent.
Let's bring those days back.
Yeah, let's go back to the good old days, 1.24% on that financing.
Current rates for $600,000?
So the most recent information I gotten from another, so our traditional lease purchase, they were talking about an assumed rate of 5%. And some of those numbers that we had talked about with during the budget cycle, we were talking about $905,000. So he just kind of said assumed borrowing amount of $1 million. That was going to work out over 5 years at $228,225 annually. So that was that kind of a comparison. And I will say, we've had conversations with Enterprise. We had it back in 2021, 2020, leading up to that lease agreement, and we chose to stay with that traditional format, but we felt that you can see the disparity of the fleet. It's wanted to try to get to more of a fleet replacement schedule, and you and I have talked about that before, Mr. Hall. And so what Richard is presenting, and of course being Sourcewell, which is equivalent to state procurement, was a big draw with Enterprise. So we wanted to bring him in and have him present this information to you as an alternative to that lease purchase agreement. Like I said, just to do roughly that 10 vehicles or so that were discussed back in I guess that was May with the council work session. We were talking to $228,000 a year, roughly, on that payment. So we wanted to bring this in as kind of a alternative. And again, that was only going to replace 10 at one punch and wouldn't really cycle through the vehicles. And as you can see with the slide that's on the board, we've got a significantly older fleet with almost 30 vehicles that are 10 years or older. So not all of those older vehicles are slated to be replaced. Some of the vehicles that we had talked about, we pulled those out of that cycle. The police paddy wagon, it's I think a 2004 van, but it's not a response vehicle. It's just taking prisoners to and from Lexington. So age isn't a big priority there. obviously the upfit on that equipment would be significant. So that vehicle was pulled out. We pulled out the small Ford Ranger that's a recycling vehicle used by a part-time recycle guy. So we pulled some of those vehicles back that just didn't require replacement now. The vehicle that's used by Town Hall, which is a 2008 Ford Explorer, that was the police chief's vehicle. We pulled that out just to try to spread that across so it's more of a balanced approach to the replacement schedule.
So that note in 21 was a 5-year note,
Yes, sir.
and so over the next 5 years, how many vehicles would we replace?
So,
Because we have to stack them.
yes, sir.
At the end of 5 years, we will have either purchased 25 vehicles, 20 vehicles, all right, or we would have leased
Yes, sir.
equivalent numbers. So what is that number on the 5 years?
And Richard, if you want to go to that, that slide, well, again, that is the recommendation from Enterprise. And so we have tweaked that to only reflect the 10, but that kind of gives you, and Richard, I'll let you explain that bottom left, because that one's more your wheelhouse, but to try to replace them on a more regular schedule. You want to take that, Richard?
Yeah, thank you. So the core of what we do is helping you cycle vehicles at the right time, right? Buy, run, sell, buy, run, sell, buy, run, sell. So here on the bottom left is the effective net cost between lease payments and equity of your current owned vehicles, and the leased vehicles will be able to sell vehicles in the future for you. This is what you can expect from like a lease payment standpoint. Yes, as you stack lease payments, you are paying more on the capital side. You're exactly right. You are going to save alternatively significantly on the maintenance side and the fuel side, running newer vehicles that cost substantially less. But here, as you go through again, between lease, net equity, between own and lease, what your net payments are. So your high water mark is $350 in year 6, when you got basically all 40 vehicles, light, medium duty vehicles cycled through. And again, $350 in year 9 when you've got a fully cycled fleet in there.
And you use the term equity. Equity means a value of ownership, which under a lease plan we would not have. We don't accumulate any equity at the end of the lease. What happens to the vehicle?
Sure. So, I apologize. So the town retains ownership rights to the vehicle and all equity in the vehicle. Again, it is not a traditional dealership lease the way we have gone through this and had the conversation with administration and department heads. So we've got it structured as an equity lease. So if we were to sell vehicles, both your owned or leased vehicles at the end of their term, we sell a vehicle for $20,000. Excuse me. We sell a vehicle for $20,000. We charge a title transfer, basically a $400 fee to sell that vehicle through our network and get the title to a new entity. The town gets back $19,600 of that $20,000 from resale equity.
And on the market currently, if I check directly on cars.com and others that sell used municipal car, police cars, the retail on a police vehicle is somewhere around $6,000 to $7,000.
That's it,
So
that's fair.
therefore, your $20,000 number is just impressive, but not realistic.
Well, and I'm using 20,000 as just a generic example, but I would say that's a fair assessment. Between 5,500 and 6,500 for a used police vehicle is fair at a 5-year cycle point.
Okay.
We're not talking about routine maintenance, right?
Pardon, sir, I apologize.
We're not talking about routine maintenance on these vehicles.
Well, I understand you guys have an in-house shop, so your shop would still maintain regular maintenance on the vehicles, oil changes, tires. As you're running a newer fleet, you're not doing as many major repairs. So that would still be going through the same team of people you have. You would just have a substantially lower cost because you're not putting in engines, transmissions, and significant repairs, just doing lighter duty repairs.
Are these vehicles under warranty?
They would still be under warranty, whatever comes from the factory, from a manufacturer standpoint, yes.
Jay, is that from the state, is that warranty 30,000 miles or?
As far as the warranty, I probably would, I don't know if Richard knows that answer off the top of your head,
Yeah,
but
every manufacturer, excuse me, every manufacturer has a slightly different warranty, and whether that's an emergency response vehicle versus a non-emergency response vehicle, they are all different. Ford, Chevy, Ram, Toyota, all have slightly different warranty.
Well, we're talking,
Warranty ratings on them.
we're talking about Fords. Here we have a specific vehicle. Can we get a little more specific about what the warranty, what our exposure would be, all right? As far as general maintenance, all right? If we blow an engine, at 24,000,
Thank
are
you
we
so much.
covered?
I appreciate that.
Is that an expense to us?
so if the blown engine, I'm sure there probably gets into a matter of, yeah, what was done to blow the engine. I mean, if it's just going to be like anytime you're dealing with warranty, I would assume there are circumstances where it could be
But on
denied.
Ford, what is it, 30,000?
Well, Ford is 60,000 miles.
So
Now,
that
with
would,
emergency response vehicles, we're not only tracking your miles, they're also tracking the engine hours that are on that vehicle from a warranty standpoint.
so a 5-year lease with a Ford Interceptor with an estimated average of 12,000 miles would be under full warranty for the entire period, or is there an annual or yearly limitation on warranties?
So just to be sure I understand the question.
Well,
what
it's
is the warranty?
60,000 miles or 3 years, whichever is the lesser. A lot of warranties are worded 60,000 miles or 3 years, whichever is the lesser.
I follow you. Basically, what is Ford's warranty as it relates to emergency response fleet vehicles?
I'm trying to figure out how much maintenance we would still be exposed for over the life of the vehicle.
Yeah, so typically what we recommend budgeting on a 5-year cycle in a town or city footprint for a police vehicle. We still recommend budgeting $100 a month over the life of the vehicle from a maintenance standpoint, because you are going to have items that come up post-warranty, as well as your regular preventative and non-preventative maintenance things that come, excuse me, that come up. There is still a warranty, and both Ford and Stellantis and Chevy all track both the miles and engine hours on emergency response vehicles, specifically as it relates to tracking the warranty.
All right, any other questions? Jay? You're all right. And Jay, any other comments from you?
And like I'd mentioned, we had talked about a little bit of the lease purchase and the equipment replacement needs back in the budget process, and just kind of, it's time to start looking at that for 2020, whatever the heck next year is, 2026. I had 2021 in my head. And again, what we are talking about would be a purchase plan where those payments don't kick in until the next budget, but we would be able to go ahead and start the process, get vehicles ordered. And so just tonight gives you a different program as opposed to the traditional lease purchase, which we've been operating on for numerous cycles.
So you're
So-
saying that our immediate replacement program would be under the old plan of paying for it upfront and borrowing the money?
So if we were to stay with what we have been doing, yeah, that was what we had talked about in May, was using a lease purchase, which would tie up that funding for 5 years. This is just an alternative that would give us a better true replacement program as opposed to just a one-time buy 10 vehicles and then,
That would give us time to really take a long-term look at the next 5 to 10 years, not just the immediate replacement needs, which I understand are fairly urgent. And so,
yeah, I mean, we certainly have needs that need to be addressed, the police department specifically. So these are the two options are really enterprise and then a lease purchase agreement.
All right, anything else from Mr. Bailey? Mr. Bailey, thank you so much for coming and
Yep,
presenting.
thank you all for your time, I appreciate it.
Next item up on the agenda is the discussion of moratorium on subdivisions. Mr. Kane, I'll let you start us off.
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Hall since he's putting together a package here. Is that all right, Bob?
Start the
I didn't mean
conversation.
to put you in.
Really, I just prepared some background information per se. What, you know, my question to you would be, what do you plan to accomplish by the moratorium?
Yeah, I think that we, with the joint meeting with the planning commission and council, I think what I'm hearing the planning commission say is that based on our current ordinances, we have no legal reason to deny an act of qualified applicant for a subdivision. Or, as was mentioned before, the industrial area over there, not Wellington, but Burlington, that if somebody came and said, hey, I bought this and I wanna put heavy duty in industrial here, we would have to go ahead and say yes, because there's nothing in our ordinance that would prevent it. So it just gives us enough time to review our ordinances and to tailor our ordinances to the direction that council wants the town to proceed in.
That's a legal question for our attorney. You say that we have no legal recourse, but particularly in specified the Burlington issue, that's an industrial, zoned industrial at the moment. However, if we adopt a comprehensive plan, and that comprehensive plan based on recommendations from the Planning Commission says that that should be commercial too, for the well-being and long-term benefits of the community, can the council legally rezone it without the owner's request?
The town would need to go through, the town can go through a rezoning. Every 10 years, the zoning maps have to be updated. Every 5 years, they have to be reviewed, but every 10 years, they have to be
AKA comprehensive plan.
correct. So if the comprehensive plan is basically the document, as you know, that says what do you want the town to look like in and over the next 10 years.
Yes.
And your zoning ordinance is used to enforce the comprehensive plan. So you would want the two to go hand in hand. So once the comprehensive plan gets updated, then obviously the zoning ordinance is going to have to be reviewed as well to come into compliance with that. But at that point, you can have a rezoning of properties to come into compliance with the comprehensive plan. If you want to adopt new zoning areas, and there's procedures to do that. You have to have public meetings and whatnot to accomplish that.
But that could do without the owner coming before the zoning planning commission requesting the zoning. The town could theoretically then say, we want to rezone because of the comprehensive plan and process it without the owner being involved.
Yes, you can identify areas to rezone and to come into compliance with the comprehensive plan if you want certain areas to be a certain way.
If I may just interject, I have reached out to Republic Services, who owns that property, and we've had some conversation, and they said that, yeah, they're open to the conversation of commercial. They said the state would have some issues if it went residential, but they were open to a conversation about it being rezoned commercial. So we've sparked that conversation, and hopefully we'll meet up in a few weeks.
Are they open to donating it to the town and taking a tax break instead of sitting on it?
I have not asked that question.
Has that been approached?
I have not.
It's racking up a significant tax bill.
What are we talking about?
Or the Burlington,
The old Middleburg part.
13.6 acres per se, but the issue is, the statement is, I'm trying to define parameters of how much authority council has to do zoning and rezoning without a direct request from the owner per se. And of course, obviously, the intent here is to slow down any permits.
No, because I want,
Temporarily.
No, temporarily,
For 90, you say 180 days?
listen, I'm wide open to council's
Well-
input. All I'm saying is that we don't want 200 more houses coming and the zoning commission said, well, we had to approve it because we hadn't changed our ordinances, or we hadn't addressed any flaws or inequities in our ordinance. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we don't want to grow, and we want to kill everything.
No.
Okay.
But let me say from where I stand, basically our ordinances are antiquated, all right? We don't even know about street sidewalks, street cafes, and restrictions like this and so forth. And in zoning, we don't even mention the word food truck. It's not in our ordinances. So we are in the 20th century, or probably late 19th century, as far as that's concerned. I believe that our zoning ordinances need to be changed. I believe that we need a comprehensive plan that is in the best interest of the community, particularly in the form of congestion and so forth. I also believe that we need low-cost housing. We do have a segment of community that needs to be addressed for low-cost housing. And at the current rate, it would look like a moratorium. My concern is, can we accomplish the change in our comprehensive plan and our zoning ordinance changes in a reasonable time period? Lexington County did it in 2021. There is a copy in the packet of the ordinance that they used to do that. They set a 180-day period, 6 months, with a contingency that they could extend it as possible. They actually did not even use the full 6 months. The point is, though, they had a full staff in order to address the need to rewrite the ordinances. Do we have the resources, all right, to accomplish this in a 6-month? It's not a question of whether I support whether or not 100. It's the question of the time of the moratorium, not whether or not we should have one. I definitely believe that we need a breathing period in which to address our ordinances and to bring them in line. And that's going to require a lot of work on the part of both the planning commission and the council.
Well, that's what they hired us to do. But I think that we should look at it for 6 months, see where we are, and if we need to go another 6, we can do that. But we're not as big as the whole county of Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's something that we could do in a series of work sessions. But I don't know if Greg, we got a lot of Greg's stuff. Yeah, I think we got a lot on his plate. But also we can rely on, lean on the municipal association also to help us work through that modeling, and also the county to kind of help us go through it. We need a
We'll have
pause.
full resources in.
Yeah, we need a pause, and then we need to bring resources in, and we want to get it back up and running as soon as we can, because the town does need to grow.
Have you read the Lexington County ordinance? They exempt subdivisions of
Yes.
under 10 units.
Right.
They have a delayed start date and effective date. I don't know, do we have any large development of permitting in the process?
So at this time, you've got Creekside Ridge, which is the 199. That has already been approved.
4 none,
Sir?
other than the 4 none.
No, those, the 4 that you're referring to, I assume Creekside Ridge, Woodlawn, Summerlin Phase 6, and then Ridge Station.
There's nothing in the queue, so if we made it effective immediately, that we would not issue any other or entertain any proposals.
There have been some people that have reached out into conversation, but no plans have been submitted.
Okay?
And if we
I'm
don't,
sorry,
we will, if we don't, we can get overrun really quick.
Copy of Lexington County, we do, sure. All right. Yeah, we, all right. So, I personally am in favor. Of course, I'm one of 9, so it takes 4 others. I do believe that our community it would be a movement in the right direction for our community.
I guess I'm curious, what would the are there specifics that we're looking at, like lot size for R1, R2, or I know we've talked about, numbers of exits from the community where it's only one exit coming out of Creekside Ridge. One of the things Lexington County's adopted is going to 150 for the required for a second means of egress. Are there specifics that we're talking about? I mean,
I think that right now, we're just looking at alternate, and then we'll get input in, and we can bring the county planners in as well to help us. Nobody's here is an expert on that. So we bring in the experts, and we can make that determination as part of the process.
well, I'm just curious, what are the complaints at this time? I mean, what are you seeing that really warrants that moratorium?
Well, I mean, I think the planning commission said that, if somebody comes in, if another person comes in and they want to build 200 houses, and they have the resources and the money to do it, the planning commission said that we can't stop them from doing it. And so the pause is just to say, okay, how do we want 700-800 houses, new houses in the town right now? And how does that affect traffic? How does that affect healthcare as far as urgent care services, emergency services, all those things? We have to really start to plan for that. And so this 6-month break, this kind of gives us enough time to get back on our feet to figure out where we want to go with it. And we may decide that we don't want to do anything. We just let, just be a free fall. But we probably need to have a pause right now, because we're on our back hind legs now, because, and I think most people don't realize about the 190 houses coming, and then all the other houses. They're thinking 200 houses over here at Walmart, that's it. They're not happy about it. But they don't know what's in the pipe that Bob just poured out, and we could load the pipe up without this moratorium.
So if a developer wanted to buy 100 acres right outside of town?
Outside of town?
Yeah, right outside, right on our border.
Right.
Right on our border, and they put a couple hundred houses there.
That would be the county
Right.
county would have to deal with
Right, but who would be the first emergency services that would go
I don't
there?
even get into emergency service, that's just.
Well, I mean, but
that's
that's a piece,
Yeah, that's something, that's. in the weeds.
I'm talking and asking questions, that's all I'm.
Okay, well, you ask me a question.
No, I'll pose it to everybody, I mean,
I have
so-
no
so-
problem with someone coming out here, buying 150 acres, meeting the county, all right, which is much more strict than our requirement as far as road conditions, exits and so forth, lot sizes within.
but
and
it's
then
gonna
the
be on
town
our, it's
annexing
gonna
it,
be on our infrastructure, it's gonna be on our
and then we
roads,
annex
it's gonna
it,
be on
and we have-
everything.
We
Well,
update.
we wouldn't annex it because we have a moratorium, right?
It's just 6
We're not,
months.
In 6 months,
Yeah.
for 6 months.
but what's the difference?
Excuse me, when did Creekside, is this Creekside or what? When did Creekside come before the planning commission? First request for permit?
Rachel, I'm looking at you. That's probably been about a year.
About a year ago.
Been a year?
Yeah.
And the first time with the Summerlin extension?
Six.
A
That's
year?
just- No, that's more recent.
Yes, Summerlin, and theirs was different because that it was just another phase of an existing, so it was a little different process, but they came in after Creekside Ridge.
Simply asking a developer to wait 6 months.
Yeah,
Do they?
you can.
Do they wait 6 months, or do they go develop someplace else? Or, I mean, all I hear is I want an IGA, I want a Aldi, and I want a hotel, and I want a Chick-fil-A, and that's the stuff that I've
We got a
heard
hotel.
for years, right? So I guess again, I'm not saying do it, don't do it. I'm saying my fear is we say that we're closed for business.
We didn't say
And
we're
then
closed.
how-
6 months.
But here's the thing.
But I mean, that's just what I'm saying, Steve. That's my fear.
Listen,
So
we're not
so
arguing.
help me with my fear.
We're not arguing, okay, we just talking. And the thing about it, we're not saying no to any developers. All we're saying is, let's get our house in order so that we know, we have ordinance in place, so we know how we want to grow. We don't want the developers telling us how we grow. We want to tell developers how we want to grow, And it gives us an opportunity to talk to our constituents, to figure out what they want. Because that's the most important thing is, you want a grocery store, I talked to Lido's, Lido's will come here tomorrow. They have not been reached out to. So, then the question becomes, where do you want to put the Lido, right? We have to punt, back up, punt, and get with our constituents and the council and the planning commission and dictate to developers how we want to grow. Other than that, it's just going to be a free-for-all.
I'm not adverse to 3 or 4 developers coming on the outskirts and putting up. They're going to come to us for water and sewer. We're going to have impact fees that are adjusted to the real world, which we need to put on our agenda, all right? We also need to look at changing our revenue stream on business license. I know that's not part of the current agenda, but essentially growing and then us annexing in relieves congestion because it directs traffic in other routes. It's a you think we can accomplish it in 90 days?
So the mechanism of the moratorium is to not stop growth. It is simply to
To
give
delay-
time to
give time to-
update the ordinance.
Update the ordinance. It is not to stop growth.
And it might happen before the 6 months, who knows? If we really working together as a team in a couple of sessions, we get some professionals in, we may be able to do it in 90 days, who knows?
I got a question. How far out of line are our zoning ordinances compared to Lexington County? It's not a tremendous amount of difference. There's some, if Lexington County makes the changes you're talking about, it will be, but as far as our zoning and number of houses per acre,
Yeah, they've got some, I don't know all theirs specifically, but I know that they're working on,
How you calculate developable land within a zone. If you look, we talk 4 and 6, 4 and 6, 4 and 6. I mean, 10,000 square foot, 7,000 square foot lots. That's what we talk about. But if you look at the actual lot sizes down here behind McDonald's, you're getting down to 12.7 houses per acre, actual density.
Well, and that's where the county's headed. I mean, the county's headed to that. They don't have that just yet, right?
No.
Right. So at the currently, they're fairly in line with
And
us.
there's nothing says that we have to follow the county model, all right? It's what, we can use it as to, you know, actually maybe take their ordinances and mark them up and see how they compare to ours. But that is the idea, to give us some, to stop temporarily any development more than 10 houses until we change our ordinances. And we will have to look, there are a lot of changes to our ordinances that need to be made that do not address issues concerning high-density housing, okay? There's some things that need to be changed in there, all right? But those things, if you go through the ordinances and say, all right, this has to be changed now before we get another permit for a request for another 150 houses, this has to be changed sometime before the next 9 months to a year, all right, to bring us in line. And this, we can look at over the next year and a half, 2 years, all right? But first, you've got to go through the ordinances and say, this is what we can address within this 180-day period, all right? And that's a maybe 90-day period, all right? But then address those changes, then go back and address others. And of course, the comprehensive plan plays a big part of this. How long do we project for the comprehensive plan?
yeah, that plan should be sometime in early 2026. They are set, and they should be sending those first 3 chapters to the planning commission for their input any day now. I haven't had that immediate feedback from Gregory, but that was the plan a couple weeks ago, was to get those first 3 chapters for the planning commission.
The drafts
Yeah, they'll see it. Planning Commission will work on that, and then they'll forward that over to the council. I will point out, you mentioned impact fees. I've directed Andrew, the utility director, he is reviewing other impact fees around. The impact fees are dated, and they're, as you mentioned, they need to be increased. Also, I've been getting some information, Fountain Inn, Sean Bell at Fountain Inn is one that I've spoken to about. They have impact fees for public safety and then also for parks. Public safety,
Lexington, the town of Lexington has 5 different segments in there, built into their total impact fee. Everything from roads, public safety, whatever. But I think I counted 5 specific things that the money could be used for, and that's what we're speaking about. Just because you have an impact fee and you get $1,500 for a new house, there's restrictions on how we can spend that money per se based on our own ordinance. It's for capital improvement projects, primarily water and sewer.
yeah, all of ours is water and sewer.
All of our water and sewer. So impact fee, we need to change our impact fee ordinance to broaden it. A percentage of it can be dedicated to the fire, police, or quote, emergency services. I believe would be a term that's broad enough that would allow the council to help support EMS if we had to in some form. Those are changes that need to be made, but right now, the idea of another large development top down on, well, we have the 200 acres over here, the Senefit property, which has been on the market and supposedly has a buyer involved. We would certainly like to make sure that there were an appropriate number of outlets taking the traffic congestion off of North Charleston and South Pine, per se. So traffic congestion is the biggest complaint I've heard, per se, but also, I'm not anti-growth. I am controlled growth for the benefit of the residents who are here currently. We do not want to adversely affect their quality of life, all right, by creating more congestion.
But I'm really curious that, I know that, Dave, I know you probably familiar, that y'all probably very familiar with our ordinances as far as, because of the planning commission service. And so, the rest of us probably, unless you have to read it, I would rather read the Aristotle's Dialogue. I forgot the name of it, but anyway, I would rather read some Aristotle than to read our planning ordinances. So I think most people not really beyond them. I can't think of it. But
Would someone like for me to sue the town for non-compliance with our ordinance because of the
No.
fact that there's going
No,
to be
thank you.
because there's going to be, Dominion's going to put LED lights in our subdivision here when our ordinance specifically specifies sodium vapor lights for street lighting and subdivisions and in fact all developments. That's how antiquated our ordinances are.
I think it would be kind of interesting if we would put a pause on for 6 months, see where we are, and it may not up to 6 months. And if we change, we change. I mean, you can change. You can always go back and say, okay, we looked at it and we good, or we can say we made X amount of changes and now we good. But I think people would flip out if we have another 200 to 300 houses come and we're not prepared for it.
Thing that concerns me about it, and I agree we need a moratorium because it needs to be, I came from an area that suffered the same thing. They weren't prepared for it. The town fought it, didn't want it, so they built up around it. We don't want that to happen here.
Right.
Because it creates all kind of problems. The town needs to be prepared, but if we put a moratorium on it before we got this comprehensive plan, I think we're a little bit premature because we don't know what we're gonna have to do to change things for that. I would hate to see us have to put a moratorium on it 2 times.
Well, I think the ordinances will dictate to the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan has to be done around what we do as far as the ordinances are concerned. It's not the opposite, yeah.
The ordinance can be worded 180 days or less a period as determined by council, all right, which means we can terminate the ordinance at any point, per se.
Right.
You are correct, stopping and starting is not a good perception to give to the public, that we're going to stop and then we're going to start. 180 days, you know, there's nothing says that we cannot work on the more obvious issues that on our ordinances while they're working on the comprehensive plan.
Because what I'm hearing.
Their comprehensive plan is going to say what areas should be zoned R1, R2, C2, but at the same time, we can be working on the ordinance that says in R1, R2, or in a subdivision, this is the requirements, all right? Which has virtually nothing to do with the comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan will say, you know, this is a commercial strip, all right? We say that in C1, C2, this needs to be changed, and we may not need to change anything in C1, C2. We're primarily talking about that section that is related to subdivisions, all right?
So I think this is
Jackson
just
County did it in
opportunity.
56 pages.
I'm looking at the fact that with the influx of the high density housing and the current spot housing we're seeing, that eventually, if we don't do something to get some facts in place, waiting on the comprehensive plan to be finalized, which is like 18 months all total or less, then what would be the problem with doing a moratorium? To give us as a council time to work with the planning to make sure that what we desire for our town is what's best for the town, not what someone sitting in an office saying, we want to see growth and we want to see rapid growth. Then if we're looking at the possibility of the stampede, as one of them said already about the other acreage that could come in, or we come up with another huge number of houses, what would that do to our current property owners and to the town itself? Are we ready to pour that? I don't think that we are on this massive overhaul and influx of coming of residents into the town. And I know it won't happen overnight, but yet there has to be something in place before it happens. And we're waiting on the comprehensive plan, so why not do the moratorium? As we said, it may not be 180 days. I don't think it would be. But we need to put something together and have it on paper, or have it in the making where we can know exactly what the town, not an individual of the town, but what the town wants to see out.
Well, and what I would be interested in, and that's kind of what I asked Steve earlier, is what specifically are we wanting to see? Because, if we're talking residential, we're talking R1, R2. If we're talking subdivisions, there's no, I don't see an R1A, manufactured home subdivision.
We're not looking for that.
No, we're not looking for it, but it is in
It's
the,
not prohibited either.
it is in the ordinance, it could be allowed.
Then we're looking at the annexation, annexing properties on all areas, ends of the town coming in. Yes, you're talking about increasing growth, growing the town. Let's look at the property owners that may be affected around these areas.
Well, so, all right, I'm going to view annexation in a separate matter, but if we're talking R1, R2, those are the primary subdivisions that are being built, are R1, R2. R3 is getting into more multifamily. I mean, we're talking 10,000 square foot lot sizes on R1 and 6,000 square foot lot sizes on R2. Right. That kind of goes towards what Lexington County has talked about. 4 per acre is very much in line with 10,000 square foot. It sounds like lot sizes is one of the issues.
The idea is, we had 200 houses, we're looking at about 400 houses now,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Do we want to look at another 400 houses based on our current ordinances? Without doing anything, you can get 400 houses overnight.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So then you have about 1,200 houses in town and we can't do anything about it.
Well, to Councilman Hall's point, the Centerfit property, which is roughly 200 acres, not all of it is in that main bulk, but, if you're R1 and you're putting 4 per acre, yeah, you could potentially talk 700, you got roads in there that are going to take some of that acreage out, and there's green space and stormwater, but yeah, you could snap your fingers in one development, could eat up a lot of that.
That's what I'm saying, let's get prepared for it. That's cool.
Well, but again, I'm asking for clarity on what is the prepared. If we're talking lot size, or are we talking?
We don't know yet. We have to
Section
get
8,
into it.
Section 8, if you want a specific, I believe 8.1 covers subdivisions, which is a separate ordinance, portion of the ordinance from R1, R2, all right? So we have a ordinance that is specifically designated or concerns subdivisions, all right? You can put a subdivision in R1, R1A, or whatever, or R2. Well, I don't think you can put subdivision in, well, you put one in R1, but it has to be 4 houses per acre in R1, all right? But we have a section that is specifically about subdivisions. That is the first ordinance we would look at, all right? Then you go to look at R1, R2, all right? Commercial, I don't see any problems other than the fact that we have a promenade ordinance that we have totally disregarded.
I think we understand what,
Okay.
what you're saying.
All right.
Walk through
Okay,
each one of those.
but, you know,
That's what we want to look at.
Would, are there additional assets, tools that staff would need to help accomplish these goals in an expedient amount of time?
To do it in a truly expedient amount of time with current staffing, we would want to hire some type of a consultant that would be familiar with other, be it Lexington County or be it some of the other people that have done similar reviews. That would be a lot to put on the planning commission to do those
Right.
reviews.
And I think for expediency, I mean, that's something that I would definitely be in favor of, is giving staff the tools to do the job.
I think council needs to be involved in that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying not involved, because we have to approve each of those ordinances with
sometimes we
2
just-
readings in a public hearing, and we'll talk about them. So
Yeah, but
that's
sometimes we
certainly involved, Steve.
Sometimes we get
Certainly.
involved at the end of it, and we wind up in the executive session.
We could be-
And we have something put in front of us, and it's like, all
But
right,
I
we need to
also-
vote for it.
I also think we need to support staff in
Yes.
in
No, yeah, I
in a
agree
means,
with
if
there
we're
is
going to
no-
do something like this,
Oh, no
we're
doubt.
halting we're halting everything, then we have to give staff, so that this doesn't draw out into
I
some
agree.
year-long thing that and we're just not getting it done.
I got
well,
you.
I'm sure Charlie Baranow, our rep from MASC, would be very happy to provide us with a list of possible consultants that could work with us. He supplied me with a list of, looks like maybe 25 communities that have upgraded their, or have fees, impact fees, and consultants that would address impact fees. So I'm sure that MASC would be very happy to support us on this. And, funding,
Yeah, I mean,
funding can be
of course.
found.
I'd kind of like to wrap it up because it is 8 o'clock. I think we could talk for hours on this. Obviously, it's very interesting.
So do
Do you want a
but
motion to adjourn?
Well, we can't make
So
any
moved.
motions on anything else, but motion to adjourn the work session.
But wait, are we gonna put this on the October agenda? That's the question.
A vote to do so.
We're not going to vote
We can't
to
do
do
that
anything
either.
inside this work session, but I think we can have conversations with the town manager
Okay.
and make those things happen. So I have a motion by Mr. Hall, I have a second by Mr. Kane to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned from the work session. All right?
We need to move chairs up there, is that?
No, we'll be fine.
Just fine.
We're gonna, because we only have 2 items with the executive
We'll just
session,
go on
correct?
straight into
We're going straight into executive session. So, in opening up, I'm gonna open up our special council meeting, and in doing so, we have an invocation. Ms. Hartley, you think you can whip one up for us?
Let us pray for the officers that were slain in Pennsylvania and all the folks who have, we've experienced a lot of violence in this country.
You want to say the prayer, Mr. Kane? You could just kick it on up.
You don't want me to say it because I'm quicker than her. I'd be like,
Miss
God bless,
Hartman.
amen.
Father, we thank you for this time together. We remember those who have been slain in the line of duty, and God, for those whose lives were snuffed out before time or early as it appears to us, we ask you for grace and mercy for the families, for strength and courage and comfort for the families. And now as we go into this special meeting, we ask you for the guidance and direction as we continue to think of and consider the needs of the people of this town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would stand, if you're able, led by Ms. Brown.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for the special council meeting?
So moved.
Mr. Proust, have a second. Mr. Balknight, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. The motion passes. Let's see. For our executive session this evening, we have two legal briefing for property transfer and lease agreement ordinance with Eau Claire Cooperative Health. Thank you so much for your patience, gentlemen. And then our second item is, thank you. Oh, actually, that's it. Yes, possible action. There we go. To have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Mr. Hall, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Prouse, any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
6, 7, 8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. We are in executive sessions, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to return back.
all on fire.
This time I entertain a motion to return to regular session. A motion by Mr. Prowse, a second by Ms. Brown. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. We are back in regular session. Possible actions by council and follow-up to executive session. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Prowse?
I move that we accept the agreement with Oakland Cooperative Health, as we previously agreed, subject to the notice of federal interest that is resting on the property now.
So a motion by Mr. Prowse. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Brown. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
No.
4,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
No.
and Mayor votes yes. Motion carries. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So
Yes.
moved.
Mr. Hall, do I have a second?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Without objection, we are adjourned.